Hi everyone, this is Kevin Davey. Welcome to the combination to improve trading. And I want to thank you all for being here. It's going to be a pretty packed hour or so that I'll be talking. And if you have questions during the presentation, feel free to type them in the chat box. I probably will wait till the very end to answer them just so I can get through all these slides and kind of respect your time. I don't want to go too much, but at the same time, if there's a lot of questions, hey, I'll stick around and answer them. So thank you for coming a little bit early. There were about 3 times as many people who signed up for the event than I can hold in this meeting room. So you guys got in, so that's good. And pretty soon it looks like the doors will close, so to speak, and those people will just have to listen to the recording, but you get to hear me live. So hopefully everybody is doing well. But so let's get started. We're going to talk. I'm going to talk about the combination to improve trading, and people were emailing me. What are those numbers? Are those what do they mean? And so that's what we're going to talk about. All right. So I'm going to give you some background on those numbers, how the numbers 185, 34, and 6 can improve your trading and get you trading without creating systems that are curve fit and without fear. That's the other big thing. I was talking to a student this morning in Switzerland, and he was saying one of the greatest things about learning a process to develop strategies is you don't trade with fear, then you have some confidence. And so we're going to talk about all that. So my goal today is really, this is just a ongoing series that I give of ongoing series of webinars where I want to get you on the road to develop profitable trading strategies. And that's why you're here, right? I mean, that's why we're all doing what we do, is we want to develop some profitable trading strategies. And notice I didn't say strategy. I have the plural. You want more than one. And so that's some of what we're going to talk about today. And if you stay till the end, I'll have a question based on the content that you'll have to answer. And if you are the right number person to answer it, you'll get an autographed copy of my trading book, the best-selling book, Building Winning Algorithmic Trading Systems. And I'll send it to you no matter where you are in the world. It seems like most of the people are overseas, so I have to fill out all the customs paperwork, and it takes a little while, but wherever you are, I'll send it to you. Okay. So, the big thing, for those of you who don't know me, what makes this different than any other of these free trading webinars that you hear? And, not to toot my own horn, but I think the difference is me and my background. I trade full-time. I've been trading for 25 years or so. The last 10 of it has been full-time, so I was able to make that leap from part-time to full-time trader. 3 times I finished in first or second place in a trading contest, which was a real money year-long contest. So, I kind of went up against a whole bunch of really good traders and still succeeded. Again, you can read my book. It's gotten really good reviews at Amazon, and it's won a couple of awards from some trading websites. And I also teach a class that's won an award. And here's a quote from a website, tradingschools.org, that actually gives ratings to trading vendors. And if you've never gone to that site, go to it. It's an eye-opener, because most of the vendors out there get a 1 star out of 5, so a pretty poor review. And I have a 5-star review. Actually, I have 2 5-star reviews from that website. So that kind of sets me off a little bit, I think, from your typical trading vendor, and that makes this webinar a little bit different, because I have a lot of pedigree that kind of establishes myself. And it's kind of funny, because in the review, this person called me a little rat because I'm stealing everybody's money. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but so I have an alternate picture of myself there with a little bit of cheese. So uh, you can think I look like that if you want. My teeth aren't that big though. But so obviously, to get to that point of winning trading contests and doing that kind of thing, I had to do a lot of things right to get there. But I've also done a lot of things wrong. Uh, for the first 10, 15 years of my trading experience, I did a ton of things wrong. I realized that optimized strategies aren't necessarily profitable in real time. Here's an example where the left side is when you develop a strategy, oh, it looks great, it's a straight line, and oh, this is going to be so great to trade. And then you go live and you get that light blue area where it all goes downhill, right? I'm sure we've all done that if you've developed some systems. I've certainly done it, but I don't do it anymore. And there's a reason for that. The other thing I've learned is there really is no holy grail. There's things that you can do to really improve your chances of success, but my early trading, I had the wrong assumption that there was some secret, that I'd find that would unlock everything. And it just doesn't exist. And people don't get that. And people keep falling for, people who say, hey, there's this secret to success. There really is no secret. And there is no automatic path. It's hard work. And then the last thing is, even if you have something that works, if you're too scared to use it, you're too scared to do it, you'll still fail. So fear comes into play here. And a lot of people have something and they're just afraid to use it. And as Christian just commented, I just see a comment pop up. He said, the story of my trading systems right there. And that's true. Developing systems is not easy work. And of course, the way I discovered all this was by losing money in the market. It's kind of like a market tuition. The good thing is if you kind of listen to what I'm saying and kind of follow what I'm saying and maybe even decide to work with me, you get to cheat and shortcut a lot of that. So you don't have to go through the pain that I went through. And trust me, it was pain. And if you haven't read my book, the first couple chapters are dedicated to the pain. The pain of buying live cattle right before the mad cow disease was announced in the U.S. and watching the market move against me and I couldn't get out for days. Pain like that. That's what I learned the hard way. So some of the things, if you feel like you're on a hamster wheel, where you're just running and not getting anywhere, a lot of people are like that. And it's usually because they develop a strategy incorrectly. Next, they optimize it, tweak it, make it look nicer. They get a great looking back test. And, if I had $1 for every great looking back test I had, I'd be super happy because great looking back tests are pretty easy to create, but they don't mean anything. Because what ends up happening is you trade it live and you lose money and then you're back on that wheel starting over at step one and then you go and create your next strategy incorrectly. So you got to get off that mindset of how you develop strategies. And if the market is telling you what you're doing is wrong, keep that in mind. Pay heed to that. Say, man, maybe I should do something different the way I develop strategies. And that's kind of what I do and kind of what I went through, because I was developing strategies that would all lose money. And then finally, I said, I need a easier way, a better way. And I want to create a whole bunch of strategies, 5, 10, 20. I have right now about 80 that I'm trading. And they're not over optimized. And I can trade them pretty fearlessly. I have confidence in them. And that's pretty cool. That's a great feeling. Now I do things the right way, where I didn't always do that. And so a lot of what I'm going to talk about today talks about that. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you some equity curves and that kind of thing. So just remember this disclaimer and hypothetical results. Treat everything as hypothetical. It may or may not happen to you if you trade the same system and all that. This is a very good disclaimer to spend some time and read if you've never read it. All right, so let's get in the secret combination. So everybody's wondering, what's it mean? Is that a number for a breakout? Is that a number of days? What is it? Okay, well, first of all, I'll tell you what it's not. It's not any kind of indicator setting, any kind of magical setting. Oh, hey, if you use 185 for this, you're going to have great results. It's nothing like that. And think about why it wouldn't be like that. It's because such a thing doesn't exist. There is no magic indicator setting. So don't believe that. And it's not some strange formula that I found, when I went through an attic of this trader who had died, and oh man, this is the exact process. And you might laugh at that, but I've actually seen people out there claiming to sell stuff that they uncovered somewhere, some secrets of somebody. I'm like, oh my goodness. It's kind of funny, but this combination isn't that. And it's not just random numbers. There's actually meaning behind them, and there's meaning behind the meaning. So it's kind of like a double thing, and you'll see that in a second. So the first secret, 185, and it's 185 right now. It grows every month, which is kind of interesting, and I'll show you why in a second. 34, and the question you'll have to ask, is that even enough? And the answer is, oh, maybe not. Maybe you can add to that. And 6, why is that a critical number? And I'll show you why. So let's kind of jump into it. So secret number 1, people who've taken my Strategy Factory class participate in something called the Strategy Factory Club. And they've created 185 strategies that have passed a real-time performance test. So think about it. People have used the same process I've used and developed systems that worked in real time. Well, what does that mean? Well, first, the club itself is you create a strategy and then you let it go in real time, and if it does, you end up sharing it with other people. So people who are participating in this get to share a lot of those strategies, which is really cool. But here's an example. This is a recent one that passed. So this was the development walk forward curve. It looks pretty good. It's not great. It has drawdowns. It has flat periods. And that's a key. A lot of people don't realize that, hey, it doesn't always have to be going up. But this is what it looks like as the student who created it said, here it is. Now run it for 6 months. So I run it for 6 months on my computer. So there can't be any code changes other than reoptimizations, which are part of the process. And that's what it looks like in real time. So what you see is after it was developed, it actually performed well in real time, and it kept hitting new equity highs. That's what you want to see out of a strategy. You don't want to see something that just kind of falls off, one of these kind of things where it goes like this and then goes like that. We've all had those, right? But you don't want to see that. You want to see it go up, and that's what this shows, which is pretty awesome. Here's another example. This is a silver strategy. So the first one was 30-year bonds. This one's silver. And again, this is what it looks like they're in the development phase. So at the end of that equity curve is when that person stopped development. And then you see, well, it's kind of gone flat a little bit, but it's still making new green dots, which a green dot is when it makes a new equity high. So it keeps making new equity highs. And that's what you're looking for. And the idea behind the 185 is I've had students who've created 185 of these strategies. So that kind of shows that the process they go through works because it's been working, it works in real time. So, that's part of the secret. So one step more, what's the real secret behind it is the process. And basically they've used to develop these systems, they just didn't create them out of, from whatever method and just give them to me. They used the process I use to develop systems. And that kind of proves, well, one, it's a proven system because I've had success with it, but it also proves it's repeatable and teachable. That means you could learn it. So you might not be using that process now, but it's something you could learn and you could develop good systems because, hey, there's been 185 that have done this, and there's probably been more than that. This is just part of the strategy factory club, but the point is you can make good strategies. And like I said, it grows. And this kind of shows you over time that I've been running this class how the number of strategies grows, and it keeps growing every month. There's usually 10 or so strategies a month that get added to this. So not every strategy passes, but that's part of the process too. We don't expect every strategy you build to pass, but a lot of them do. And that's the main point. And if you know how to create a strategy properly, you can do it, and they'll work in real time. It's kind of neat. It's very neat. It's a teachable process, and you can learn it. All right. So, secret number 2. Those 185 strategies were created for 34 different markets. So there's your second number, 34 different markets. So, why is that important? If you were an expert, let's say you were a price action expert or something, you could probably trade 1 or 2 markets, maybe in a discretionary manner or something. But you're not going to trade 34 and be an expert in all of them, right? But if you just create algorithms, strategies that you've back tested, you could create strategies for 34 markets. And so there's a list of all the markets. And you can see it varies quite a bit. You've got orange juice, you've got live cattle, you've got silver, you've got the Nikkei index, all sorts of markets. And the point is, the more, the better. Well, why? Well, I didn't come up with this, but you might have heard of Harry Markowitz. He won a Nobel Prize, pretty well regarded as a legend in investments and that kind of thing. He actually wrote a book, Portfolio Selection. He probably wrote a bunch of books, but one of his famous books was Efficient Diversification of Investments. And that is really key to why you want to trade so many markets. Because if you just trade one market, you might have the strategy that's on the left, where, it's pretty good, it's got some drawdowns and stuff, but here's what happens when you add 15 strategies together that are uncorrelated. That's a key point. You get a smoother equity curve. It's not as bumpy. It still has bumps, don't get me wrong. You're never going to eliminate the downside, but it starts to look more and more like a straight line, right? Which is really cool. And that's what you're kind of looking for with trading all these markets. So the first point, the first secret was, hey, people have used this process to create a bunch of strategies. And so you could do the same thing. You can use the process over and over again and create strategies for every single market or multiple strategies for the same market. It's however you want to do it. And then you take this pretty well-known Nobel Prize winning theory of diversification and you just apply it to futures. And you use that and trade all these different markets to smooth out your equity curve. It's a really cool way to do things. Of course, you've got to do it correctly. You know, you can't trade 10 crude oil systems that are all breakout systems with maybe different parameters and expect to get good diversification. Why? Because all the systems will be somewhat and pretty much correlated. But let's say you took it the other way and you traded a soybean system, a crude oil system, a gold system, and they're all different. Chances are one's going to be up, one's going to be down, but overall they should balance each other out and you'll hopefully make profits from them. They can lower your overall risk when you trade a whole bunch of systems, and that's the big point with that secret number 2 is 34 was the number, and it can be bigger because there's some markets that even I've been unable to create systems for that you might be able to, but there's a whole bunch of markets that you can trade and a lot of them aren't correlated. So that's pretty cool. All right. So secret number 3 is kind of related to secret number 2, but it is different. Just doing multiple markets isn't enough. You know, you could do energies and you could have natural gas system, a heating oil system, unleaded gas system, crude oil system. You could have all those, but that's alone is not enough diversification. You need all these market sectors, and that's where the 6 comes from. So the way I've broken it out, and some people do this a little differently, but I've put grains and softs together as agricultural type things. You know, some people break out the softs and say that's a separate sector. Okay, you can do that. Or even meats is different. But grains and softs, you know, that's the agricultural sector. You have the currency sector, you have the energies, you have metals, stock indices, and also interest rates. So those are your basic sectors. And what you want is you want to spread your risk. And so you want to be in different markets, in different sectors, okay? So maybe you have 3 or 4 energy strategies and 3 or 4 metal strategies and 3 or 4 currency strategies. And you kind of become diversified that way. So it's not just the markets, it's also the sectors. You want to be in all these sectors. And, you know, here's a good example. You know, gold, which would be in the metal sector, isn't going to be related really to an agricultural strategy market like corn, right? Here's another example. Look at what the ES did in early February, and this is when a lot of people got caught in that volatility storm, for lack of a better word. So you had days where the ES was just going crazy. But look at gold. Gold really wasn't doing too much. Yeah, it was trending down, but it wasn't abnormal. I mean, you know, if the ES had done nothing and you just looked at gold, you're like, okay, well, it's just going up and down. And, you know, maybe 1 or 2 days had a bigger range, slightly bigger range than normal, but it looked pretty pretty typical. So think about that. You're trading stock indices, and yeah, they're all volatile, but at the same time, your metals might not be moving as much, and so it's a good balance. And that's kind of what you want to achieve, is you want to be in all these different sectors. So it's hard to do, though. Trading all these different sectors, unless you, of course, automate. That's where you really get the benefit of writing these algorithms, is you kind of turn them loose, and then you can trade multiple markets and all these multiple sectors without having to stare at the screen and look at charts and draw trend lines and all that kind of discretionary type stuff that people do. That's where your automation really comes and helps you. So the point is, with that third secret, you want to be trading in every futures market, in every sector that you can. I mean, that's really the key. So, whoops, I don't know why I have the entry secrets, but secret number one is to have a solid development process, right? If you have a solid development process, it leads to good strategies. And we saw that in the number 185. If you diversify over many markets, you're going to be better off because you get a smoother equity curve. That's secret number two. And then secret number three is a twofold thing. One, balance your exposure. Don't be in all stock indice strategies. Don't be in all energies, unless you're an expert. Now, if you're an expert in one particular area and you can just crush it day after day, hey, then that's the way to go. But most of us aren't, and we're never going to be experts. So if you're not, you want to balance your exposure over all these different sectors. And one way to do that is to automate. So that's kind of what you're looking at. As an example, I have a student in Brazil, Francisco, and he's kind of gone through those three secrets and implemented them. He took the class, so he's able to develop systems, and he's actually gone from 0 to 53 systems that he's created since he took the class. In 2 years, he's created 53, and he's been able to go to this fully algorithmic trading. So you can bet he's trading multiple markets, multiple sectors, and he's able to do it successfully. So that's a pretty good case study of somebody who's been able to take this and implement it. So it's more than just, when I talk about these things, it's more than just theory. It's actual, hey, this can actually be done. And if I can do it and I can teach it, you can do it too. That's the big point. Okay, so hey, the last 30 minutes, I think everybody would agree, and based on some of the comments, hey, it's been time well spent so far. And obviously, though, I just can't cover everything in this period of time. Even if we had all day, I wouldn't be able to cover all this. But at least I can give you some ideas of things to think about and things that maybe you should start doing in your own trading. So, if you walk away and think about it later this evening, think about, well, what did I learn? Well, one, I learned that it is possible to develop systems that work in real time. And two, I should be looking at doing that for multiple markets. And three, I got to balance out my risk between different sectors. Now, you don't have to necessarily start there. Sam asked the question, how big of an account do you need to do this? Well, let's just say you had a smaller account, maybe $5,000-$10,000, something like that. You're probably not going to be able to do a whole bunch of strategies unless you do go to something like micro forex, real little lot sizes, because futures have some decent size lots. You just can't do it. But what you could do is kind of what I did. Started out with one or two strategies and slowly build up as you start getting profits, and then maybe you get some more outside capital and bring it in, and then that way you get to see the process work and you get to get confidence in it. So it's kind of a building thing. So it might not necessarily be something that tomorrow you fire up and you're gonna go full tilt right away. You kind of build over time, and that's where I can kind of help you. I run an all-day workshop, online workshop. It's live. It's called Creating a Strategy Factory. Because the way I look at this is building strategies is like running a factory. You have ideas and strategies come in the door, and you work on it, you test it, you do things, and what comes out the other side are either completed strategies or scrap. The strategy might be junk. And a lot of times the strategies are junk. Most strategies are junk. But it's a repeatable process that you can do where you're not just thinking about things and immediately trading them, or you don't read something in a magazine and immediately say, oh, this has got to be good, I got to trade it. So it's a class I teach, and like I said, it goes from goals and trading ideas into full operation. And I go through all these steps, and there's criteria at each of these steps of what's good and what's bad. So it's a pretty objective approach. It's a repeatable approach, and that's what you're looking for. And that's what you get if you were to sign up. It's an 8-hour live class. I give you 3 strategies that I talk about in the class. And normally when I write strategies for people, they're about $1,500 a piece. So there's a lot of value there. And then you get my email support. Nobody else is answering my emails. It's just me. So you ask a question, you get an answer from me. It's not from, some third world person or some intern who doesn't know how to trade. You get me. And then in addition to that class, we're at 23 videos, and that number grows over time, of all kinds of topics related to the strategy factory that'll help your trading. So you get a whole ton of stuff. Okay, so, when I was looking, how much should I charge for this? Because this is great information. I wish I had it. I could have done it as cheaply as possible and just $99. You get all this, and tried to just sell as many as possible. But the problem is I couldn't do that because I wanted to give the support. I felt there's no way I can teach a class without giving the proper support. And I can't, if I don't devote my time to help people, it's just information. So I require a higher investment, and this course requires a higher investment. But you get my support, and I do everything I can to help you succeed. So that's pretty cool. So I've thrown in some bonuses to help you out, to get you started, because one of the big things people have is really wanting to get going. So I give you a strategy for the Japanese yen and unleaded gas. And since people pay me about $1,500 per strategy, there's a pretty big value there. And this is what those strategies actually look like. Now, the unleaded gas, kind of just breaking even lately, but it'll probably, hopefully, take off again soon. And the Japanese yen seems to go up and then go flat and go up and flat. But it's been performing. I've been trading that one for, I want to say, 4 or 5 years now. So quite a while. And just last year, if you'd been trading one contract of each, hypothetically, there was $17,000 in profits just following those signals. That's pretty big. So That's a bonus I add. And, we're well into the 5 figures of value when you look at all this stuff I'm giving you. But, I said I had choices. Of course, you have choices too. You could go it alone. That's what I did way back when. You could find some slick wannabe out there. There's a ton. Oh my goodness. There's so many people selling trading information who don't even trade. Most of them are sim traders, if that. But you could find one and they could sweet talk you. Either route, you're going to learn the hard way and the expensive way. But it's an option, right? Or you can go with somebody who's been proven to succeed and build strategies. And hopefully, just based on what you know about me and what I've told you about other students having success with this, you realize that a process is a way to build strategies the right way. Here's an example of just some of the people it's worked for. This was a group of Strategy Factory students who all came to Cleveland, Ohio in September of last year to really talk about some advanced topics. And a lot of these people have created strategies, but they all thought enough of the process that they said, hey, I want to go and practice with other people. So we spent a whole weekend where a lot of the time was just collaborating, building strategies. So to me, that's a lot of proof that this method works, that people were willing to travel from all over. We had somebody from Hong Kong, Kuwait, a couple people from Brazil, a bunch of people from Canada. So it was a whole bunch of different countries. And they're all part of that club where if you create a strategy and it performs well, you get to share it with everybody. So there's been certain people who have submitted, say, 10 strategies and have gotten 80 or 90 strategies in return. Now, I'm not saying they're going to go trade every one of those, but isn't it nice to start out if you're going to test an idea with something that you know has worked in real time? I mean, that's huge. And that's what this Strategy Factory Club is. So that's a huge bonus. That's part of, when you join my workshop, that's what you get. And there's also something called the Strategy Factory Forum, which is a private forum for everybody. And it's just fellow students helping other student traders. You get both of those as part of it. And we have over 200 traders who are participating in that. Pretty cool. And so that's another bonus that you get when you join up here. So, hey, you might say, wow, that's a lot of value, but I don't have the time or I don't have the money. That's pretty common. And, honestly, if you don't have the time to develop strategies, to work on improving your trading, you're better off just to drop out right now, honestly. Because if you don't have the time, I can't help you. There is no 5-minute a day, 10-minute a day method that you can use to consistently build strategies and have good performance. It just doesn't exist. And people keep thinking it does. Trust me, after doing this for all these years, if there was a way to do it that way, I would have been doing it, right? I wouldn't still be building strategies every month, new strategies. I'd be taking the easy way. There is no easy way when it comes to time. If you want to be good at this, you've got to put the time in. And I don't have any kind of answer. If you tell me, hey, I don't have the time, and people do. People say, hey, I work full time. I've got no time for this. How can you help me? And I just reply, I can't. I can't help you if you can't spend time doing this. But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's the people who get in trouble are the ones who don't have the time yet still think they can succeed. And then the other one is I don't have the money. Well, I've got a really cool answer for that one. If you hook up with Tradestation, if you fund a new account with them, they have got a program where my course fee can be returned to you, 100% of it, via commission rebates. So what happens is you sign up for the workshop, you open a Tradestation account, you talk to my account executive, you start trading. You know, it doesn't have to be that you can be trading however you trade, and then you get 20% off commission. Every commission you pay, you get 20% off. It's rebated once a month until the course is paid for. And it works. There's a lot of students who use it. I used a similar program a number of years ago with Tradestation to get a trading computer. And I can tell you it works. And it's exactly the way they say it is, and there's no like hidden things. Oh, you got to do it all within 6 months. No, you know, if it takes you 10 years, they'll still be giving you that rebate. The only caveat is I don't know how long it's going to last. Tradestation right now, they love the program because you know they get new people to use their platform, and that's what they want. But they might end it at any time. You know, they could say tomorrow, hey, we're done. We're not doing this rebate program anymore. And so this bonus could go away. But right now, it's still there. And so you get that, which will pay for the whole course. So, you know, we're just inching up this total value. It's a lot there. But of course, if your trading's going good, you know, if every month or every year you're bringing home bags of cash like that, just keep doing what you've been doing. You know, you don't need to improve if you like what you're doing and you're doing well at it, right? I don't want to make you think this is some thing that you must do. It depends on your performance. And if your trading isn't going good, well, maybe this is a good time to switch and go to something that's been proven to work for not just me, but as I showed you earlier, it's worked for other people too. So here's a student, Eric, who he was in Cleveland. Great guy. He actually, towards the end of the Cleveland live event, he got sick and had to go to the hospital and did a quick emergency room visit, but he was lucky. He turned around and came back and still participated in almost all the events. But he joined up. He's had 7 strategies that have passed that 6-month test, and he received 86 strategies in return. Wow, I mean, that's pretty cool. To get 86 strategies that you know have worked for at least a 6-month period after they were developed. That's pretty powerful. Imagine what you could do with that. It's pretty neat. So throw in a couple more bonuses, and you know, at that point I'll be done. Everybody's talking about Bitcoin and how can I trade Bitcoin and stuff, and so I started doing it at the beginning of the end of last year. I started trading some Bitcoin stuff, and so probably next month I'm actually going to have a special class just for Strategy Factory students on some of the pros and cons and some of the things I've found and with what I'm calling crypto trading, but it's basically Bitcoin because I'm looking at the futures. But if you're looking long term, I'll show you some of the things I've done. And you'll definitely find some benefit out of that. It's a little different than some of the normal process just because there's not enough market data. But I'll be sharing that only with Strategy Factory students. And then the other cool thing is, let's say you attend the live class that's coming up. It's next Thursday. And afterwards you'll get the recordings and everything. And then you might just say, wow, there's just so much information. I want to come back. Well, you're more than welcome to repeat the class. I've had people repeat the class 3, 4, 5 times, I think. And they just come back and sit into the next live session, ask questions, and it's great for new people because not only do you get to ask questions as a new person, but there's also going to be people who are asking some more advanced questions, and you'll get the benefit of that. So you'll get the benefit of some of their experience in the questions they ask. So it's really cool. So, like I said, I just mentioned that about the crypto. And, the reason you'd want to attend the class more than once is it's like drinking water out of a fire hose. That's the easiest way to put it. You're thirsty and you want a little drink, you turn on that fire hose and, you practically choke. Because there's a ton of information between all the videos and the live class. So you can just come back. I have people who've been in Hong Kong, and, it's very inconvenient time of the day for them, or night, I should say. So they'll come in at night, stay for a couple hours, and then the next time maybe they'll stay for the middle part of the presentation or the day, and then they'll come a third time for the end. That way they don't have to pull an all-nighter. So it's pretty cool. But you can definitely do that. So when you add it all up, you add all these bonuses, all this class and everything, you get what I would consider a fair price of over $20,000. There's a lot there. I mean, this isn't, some simple thing you're going to get through in a couple hours. It takes a lot of time just to absorb all this information. And you might say, well, that's a crazy price. Well, I base the price on what people pay me for some of the pieces. The profitable strategies people pay me $1,500 for. When I do in-person consulting with people from hedge funds and stuff, that can easily run into 5 figures. So this course, if I charge $5,000, I could do that all day long and not feel like I was charging too much. Because think about it. If all this class did was give you those strategies, if that's the only thing you got out of it and you decide to trade those strategies that I give you, would it be worth it to you? Well, that's the old, hey, I'm giving you fish so you can go eat model. But then I'm going beyond that. I'm teaching you how to create profitable strategies, and that's really what you want to do. So you got to ask yourself if that would be worth it, where I teach you to fish. So not only, I don't give you the fish, I'm teaching you how to fish. And then with that rebate program, this whole course really costs you nothing. If you're trading, you're going to be trading whether you take this course or not, probably. So I'm teaching you how to fish, and I'm letting you use my boat. So you don't even have to go out and buy the boat and buy the bait to go fishing. I'm letting you use mine because it really costs you nothing. When you consider all that, it's a pretty good deal. And yeah, it's still a lot. I agree. $3,000 is a significant investment, but you've got to look at the other side of it. If you don't do it, how much is that going to cost you? Is learning from somebody who's never traded or who trades on a sim but only charges $900, is that better? Well, that's something you have to ask yourself. So if you're interested, just go to my website. I'm typing it in the chat box, and you can just click on that. And if you go to Strategy Workshop, you should find it. Hopefully that's the correct link. If I didn't type it out, it's kjtradingsystems.com. And again, you get all of this. And I should add that as time goes on, I do add things to it, and you will always get that information. So once you're a student of mine, I don't just say, hey, you were a student 2 years ago, I'm not giving you any new information. The door's always open to get new information and not have to pay again or anything. So now you have two choices. I said I had two choices before. Your option, you could do nothing, not take the course. Hey, that's fine. Wake up tomorrow, same as today. Your trading will not really change. Or you can invest something in your trading and give it a shot. If it works, great. But if you start attending and you find out, ooh, this isn't for me, within the first 2 hours, if you listen to the class and you're like, I don't want to do it, just ask for your money back. Just send me an email, say, Kevin, I'm dropping out. I'm not going to be able to do it for whatever reason, or I don't like it. In 3.5 years of me doing this, I've had 2 people do that. So I don't want to say it never happens, because it has, but it normally doesn't. So, but you have my guarantee that if you start to see the information and you don't like it, you can just drop out. All right. So one last testimonial. Shamil has been a really good student and a really dedicated person. Look at that bottom line sentence. He says he has full confidence in his trading. That's huge. That's huge. Think about what that could mean for what you're doing. So yeah, you learn a method, but you have confidence in it, and that's pretty cool. All right. So again, if you go to my website, strategy workshop, and there it is. Okay. So let's do the book giveaway, and then I'll answer questions that you guys have. So this one is going to be the third person to correctly answer. Just type the answer in the question box. List one of those numbers that I gave you. Just type in any one of them. You don't have to explain it. You can just type in the number. All right, there we go. Okay, you can stop. I've got the correct person. So we had Rick and Sam finished first and second, and then Tony S.I. Had 185, so he was the third one. And then the winner is number 4, and that was Roger C. I won't say your last name, Roger, so just send me an email. And again, the numbers were 185. That's the number of strategies people have used with this repeatable process, 34 different markets, and 6 different sectors. So congratulations to Roger for the 4th correct answer. And again, I'll just leave this up here. And if you have a question, let's just say you want to talk to me in person, you're thinking about signing up, call and leave me a message. I might not get to your call immediately, but I will answer it, or send me an email. I don't want you to sign up and still have some doubt. Feel free to give me a call, send me an email, ask questions. I want you comfortable with this. The people that do good with this course, one, they investigate it beforehand, but then they feel confident in it, and that helps. So, all right, so with that, looks like we have some time left. I can answer some questions. I see some of you have been typing in questions, so if you have one, type it in. I'll stick around as long as I need to. But let's get started. So Sam had already mentioned about how big of an account you need. Ideally, you want probably like a mid-5-figure account to do this. But to start out, you don't need as much. You're just not going to trade as many strategies. And you can build up over time. So that's kind of the way I'd look at it. Sherwin has asked, do all of the students use the same platform for trading and automation? Great question. The answer is no. Most people use Tradestation, and a lot of them use it because of that rebate. But there's certain parts of the world, for example, where they can't use it. Some parts of Canada, for example. Certain provinces don't allow Tradestation. Don't ask me why. Other provinces do. So some people use multi-charts, which is similar to Tradestation. Some people use Ninja. I've had people use Pro Real Time. Let's see, those are the big ones. There's some other ones too that are scattered in. Most people end up moving towards Tradestation, especially if you want to participate in the club, because I can help you translate a strategy for the club, but if you were to pass the club, I just give you the strategies. I can't translate them all for you back to your computing language. So you're going to end up doing a lot of translating if you use something besides Tradestation. So it's just something to keep in mind. So yeah, most people use Tradestation. Let's see, Dominic said haha to something, I don't know what, but Sam's asking, can I get us a deal with Ninja? I have no deal with Ninja, unfortunately. And to be honest, I use Ninja. So I own Ninja and I use it, but I don't use it to develop strategies. What I use it for is with Tradestation, where I have Tradestation send signals to Ninja that go on to a broker. So that's how I use it. And if you have Ninja and you say, wow, I spent all this money on Ninja, I don't want to lose it. If you decide to go to Tradestation and take this class, I will help you do that Ninja bridge. It's kind of a cool way to trade multiple strategies. And in a way, it's better than trading through Tradestation, although I do trade through them. David's asking how many students are in a class. There's never more than 10 new students in a class. And then sometimes there'll be quite a few old students. So there might be 15 or 20 people, but as far as new students, it's limited to a maximum of 10, and usually it's below that. So the way the class works, people will type in questions in the chat. Some people ask to speak on a microphone at certain times. Usually I have everybody muted just so the recording comes out better. But people type in their chat questions and I answer them as we go along if it's what we're talking about. So it's kind of a slower pace than like a 1-hour webinar where I send all the questions at the end. So you feel like I'm talking just to you, which is really cool. Powell's asking a couple questions. Do we have any strategies on the Strategy Factory to trade on Forex? And then what's the most common time frame on my strategies? So right now we just started with the club. We're going to start allowing Forex strategies. There are quite a few currency futures strategies which are probably similar, but most people don't trade Forex, and the big reason is because Tradestation, even though they give you Forex data, they do not allow Forex trading anymore. They shut that down. So not a lot of people are trading Forex, but the process works for that, and you could probably take some of the currency strategies and probably adapt them to work in Forex. There'd probably be some nuances, but you might find they work pretty decently. And then time frame, I usually do a lot of swing trading, so my trades last days to weeks, and a lot of times I'll use daily bars, but I also use lower time frame bars too. So it's kind of a mix. Try not to do everything all the same way. Okay, so let's see, we got some other questions here. And Elia is asking, or Elia, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name right. Can I use the method taught in non-Tradestation developing environment like MetaTrader, Python, MATLAB, or anything like that? Yes, you could. The process will work anywhere. You can, as long as your approach, as long as your platform, whatever you use, as long as it can do optimization, walk forward testing, and as long as you can get full analysis of performance, you should be able to do it. Obviously, the tough part becomes then if you want to participate with others in the club, it's a little different. But I have some people who just stick with their original software, and you can go off and create all your own strategies with this process. It's kind of independent of platform. Now during the class, I talk a lot about Tradestation because that's what I use, but it doesn't mean you have to. Dominic saying, when you have a list of 100 strategies you've tested, how can you prevent yourself to test the same approaches over and over again and not lose, some of that correlation? Well, that's a good point, because I tend to create similar strategies to what I've created before, and probably a lot of you are like that. And that's where like the Strategy Factory Club can help, because you'll get some strategies that have ideas that you've never thought of. And that can be a good way to bring some new ideas and some new information into what you're doing. So, you might like doing breakout strategies, and all of a sudden you pass a club strategy and you get a whole bunch of systems that aren't breakout. And that's one good thing you can do. But really, when it comes down to it, what you have to do is you just have to make sure that no matter what market it is, what kind of strategy, that the correlation is low to what you're trading right now. And if it's not, if the correlation's high, then don't trade that new strategy, right? Or maybe remove a different strategy if you really want to trade that strategy. But we talk about this in the class, and I talk about it afterwards in some of the videos, where you got to make sure you understand that correlation of strategy results. Sherwin's asking, how much does Tradestation cost? You would, if to get the latest prices, as far as commissions, they're not super discounted. They're around, with exchange fees and everything, it's around $4.50 to $5 a round turn. So that's pretty reasonable. Then, of course, you have to pay for data, which no matter what broker you go to, you're going to be paying for live data. And then the platform, I think, is like $99 a month. But it depends on how much you trade. So if you make, say, like 10 trades a month, they'll waive the platform fee. So I never pay a platform fee. I do pay data fees, and you're not going to get away from that. The best bet is, if you're thinking about it, is send me an email. I'll give you the name of my contact at Tradestation. He will always hook you up with the best deal. So, for example, one student contacted him, and he was a military veteran. And I don't know if this is just U.S. or everywhere, but Tradestation at the time was running some special promotion for military people, and he got this incredible deal. I mean, I think he actually pays less than I do. So my rep Perry will basically give you the best he has available, and also you'd get that rebate. So just send me an email if you're interested in finding out more. David's asking if he's already a Tradestation customer, can he do the rebate? I'm not really sure how to answer this, because I don't want to say definitely yes, but what you would have to do is fund a brand new account with outside money, so you can't transfer from one Tradestation account to another. You could talk to my guy Perry, and he might put you in touch with his boss, and you could just tell the boss guy, hey, look, I'm going to do this, but only if I can do the rebate. Otherwise, I'm going to open an account at a different broker and see how it goes. I think you will have success. I just can't guarantee it. But, existing customers can definitely ask and push a little bit, especially if you're funding a new account. They should be open to that. So Jean, or Jan, or I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, because I know you're from Europe. A method gives you not yet a successful strategy. You need to find something. How is this process being supported apart from modifying strategies or finding ideas. So part of the whole process is you do validate the strategy in real time. And yeah, does that mean it's going to keep working for 6 months, a year? No. But what you do is we do enough good things to eliminate a lot of the bad strategies. Doesn't guarantee it's going to work going forward, but um, you have a much better chance of it when you use this kind of process. And David was asking, how good is compatibility between Tradestation and multi-charts? It's pretty good, except for some keyword differences and some data differences. But in general, it's pretty decent. Couple more questions, and we'll just keep going. Roberts asked, what does a course cover that you could not learn from diligent study of your book? Well, obviously, all those other bonuses and the club and my support and stuff, you won't get that. But if you were to read my book and follow it, uh, pretty much dead on, you would learn a lot about what we're talking in the class. So in the class, we talk a lot about that process. We go into more detail. I give you examples. We also talk more about probably diversification and position sizing than I do in the book. But there are people who have taken the class and have never read the book, and they've succeeded. There's been people who've read the book and taken the class, they've succeeded. And there's been people who've just read the book and done it. So I think really the benefit of the class is more than just that core knowledge. It's all the other stuff, all the other videos, where I talk about position sizing and correlation and those kind of things, account sizing. There's a lot of extra. And of course, the club's a big thing. A lot of people say the two biggest things out of this class are, one, the support, my email support, and you get a couple Skype calls with me. That and being part of that club and being able to talk to other traders and trade strategies and participate in that. That's the biggest benefits of the class. If you participate, Powell's asking about software. We just use this same software we're using today. It's actually a different version. It's called GoToMeeting, and that's it. So you don't need Skype necessarily or anything to sit in on the class. And then afterwards, I give you links, and you can watch all the videos. What kind of strategies do you learn to build? Breakout, trend following, mean reversion. That, Taha, is up to you. So what I encourage people to do is do them all. Don't be focused on any one. So we talk a lot about where to get ideas and how to do, where you should be looking. And I'm pretty open to say, hey, whatever you find that you can test. And it doesn't necessarily have to be any particular type of strategy. That's the key thing, is just to build whatever you want. Gary says works for me. Good to hear, Gary. And Gary is actually already signed up, so it'll be good to see him next week. And Powell's asking about minimum funds to open an account with Tradestation. I believe it's $5,000. You would send me an email. I'll give you my contact at Tradestation. You can talk to him. I shouldn't be answering. Oh, Gary was talking about the new accounts at Tradestation, that he was able to still get the rebate. So that's perfect. So I'll give you the name of my Tradestation rep. He'll give you the exact answer. The Tradestation might change things, and I'm not always in the loop. All I know is the rebate program is still there, but you'd have to ask him for details. All right, well, it looks like we've gone over about 10 minutes, so I thank you for sticking around. And that's pretty much it. If you have questions for me, kdavey@kjtradingsystems.com. I have a class next Thursday, the live class. If you're interested, go to my website. You can sign up, and we can get you building strategies the right way. All right. Thanks, everyone.